Welcome. We hope we found enough chairs for everybody. I think they're kind of working on that. I know some of our staff are standing, so. Hello, we are here today at the Administration Building for the meeting of the Fayette County School Board of Trustees. It's Tuesday, March 14th. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start today with Mrs. Van Meter. Oh, there you are. And she's going to share with us some wonderful information about one of our students.
Where do you want us to? Do you want us over here? Or
Yeah, maybe move the podium out so you're not blocking folks.
Do the pageant way. He's like, no way.
He's like, I'm just going to leave. All right, so I'd like to introduce to everyone Orlin Foster. Orlin is a senior this year for Connorsville. And the reason why Orlin is here is because he was a state qualifier this year in wrestling, which is a huge accomplishment. On top of that, Orlin was the Spartan Classic champion. He was a sectional champion. He was a regional champion, conference champion, semi-state runner-up. And then, unfortunately, as you can see, the boot. First round of state, he hurt his ankle. Did we find out what it was? High sprain. So, unfortunately, he didn't get to compete all the way through the state, but we are very proud of him. So, I think it's worth the recognition coming here in front of all these people to celebrate him and his successes.
Yes.
Are you ready for your speech?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's like it's an ad.
What are you doing after high school, Orlin? You know?
I'm going to work
Yeah.
down in Kentucky with my mom's side of the family.
There you go. Cool. Well, thank you for keeping us all excited about everything you've done with wrestling.
Great representative of Spartans.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Very cool. Congratulations. Good luck.
Okay, next up, we have Gibraltar Design and Skillman Corporation, Mr. Collins.
Hi, I think, Jim, you're going to set the stage. Chris is not here? No. Chris, sorry.
Put him in the hallway.
You're in the hall. Okay. So Chris Kingery is going to talk, and then he'll introduce Victor, who's with Skillman. I've shared some information with you about him, so turn it over to you guys.
Thank you for having us again this evening. Two things we want to accomplish tonight. I will go over a proposed planning schedule with you so that you can kind of see the next really 4 months ahead as far as a planning schedule. But first off tonight, we do have Victor. Victor is from Skillman Corporation, does construction management, and tonight's presentation is to give you a little bit more insight about what his corporation would do in a pre-planning stage to make sure that we continue to bring you all the information that we have from a facility standpoint, but also how we start putting cost to those estimates. So, Victor.
Thank you, Scott. Jim's going to hand out some information for you, just a brochure on our company and then a copy of our presentation. It's a dozen slides or so, and I can take 5 minutes or I could take an hour and a half. So I'm going to take the 5-minute version of that, but you're welcome to read through that material and ask Mr. Collins or Mr. Harris if you have any questions. I hit the clicker correctly. Right here. Just a quick snapshot about who we are, so you know we're a construction management company. We've been in business for 51 years. We think we're a great place to work and a lot of happy employees. We are employee-owned as of 4 years. We were actually founded by Mr. Hap Skillman and now run by Mr. Brad Skillman. So it's family business, but now employee-owned. School construction has been, for many, many years, our, as they say, bread and butter. It is our expertise. You see the statistics there. We're very proud of that. No surprise that we've worked a lot with Gibraltar, because that's certainly their expertise as well. We see them as a great partner, and we work sort of on the same side of the table with them, developing projects. The statistic I'm most proud about, and I want to bring to your attention, is we have about 90% of our current projects are repeat clients, and we're really all about building relationships, and we would love an opportunity to work with you. Building programs, whatever it looks like, is a relationship building opportunity, because they take multiple years to deliver, from early on all the way through completion of the project. And so you might be one of our current clients. One of my current clients is Shelbyville Schools, was probably closest to you. But we have, this is just a diagram showing you, we work all over the state. In fact, we have an office in Michigan as well. We worked a lot with Gibraltar, both in central and northern Indiana. But just so you know, we're based in Indianapolis, but we don't just work in Indianapolis. We work all over the state. I also wanted to know, when you bring on board a construction management company, you're bringing on board a lot of resources, not just Victor. It's a lot of resources. I'm having the opportunity to introduce our company tonight, but Tim Funston and Scott Cherry are also part of our leadership team. There's a copy of what we call an organization chart for a team. So if we move forward with a project, you would have a project manager, you would have a manager on site, a job superintendent, and a support team to make all the things happen that we do and deliver all the services. So keep in mind, it's a full team effort when it comes to managing projects, whatever that might look like. And there's just some references of some other projects other clients we have with Gibraltar there in the lower right. The number one question that everyone asks is, well, what are your costs and how do they fit in? The easiest way is that there is going to be, if you will, a budget, a pie, that makes up the components of your project. All those costs, whatever project you end up deciding on, if you move ahead with a project. If you move ahead with a traditional general contractor, built into that cost is his cost to operate, overhead and profit, his people to manage on the site. I think we're all familiar with a contractor, general contractor basis. Construction management is the same pie. There's still the same amount of dollars. There's no extra cost in the way in which we deliver the project. The difference is that you get to hire us first, and then we go out and on your behalf bid the project to all those individual trades: mechanical, electrical, concrete, roofing. And we collect all that and oversee it for you, just like a general contractor would, and we provide the people on site to oversee that. So those costs are parallel. The difference is that you have the opportunity to have us involved from day one, to help you, to have a partner with your designer, somebody that builds buildings. And in fact, we believe, and we've represented, that our involvement actually creates savings, the way in which we bid it, and probably more importantly, the way in which we help you maximize your budget. And what I like to say is, get you more bricks and mortar for your money. That's really what you want. You want to spend less on overhead and profit dollars. You want to spend more on bricks, mortar, all those concrete things that help improve a project. The way in which we do that is what we call pre-construction services. So everything prior to starting a construction, again, if you do a general contractor, you don't know until you bid the project who's going to build your project, and there's minimum requirements. So they've never been involved. So the first time they bid the project, the first time they see anything about your project. With the construction manager, you bring them on board and they help you develop the project, have insights and input onto the development, estimating, all those things. To one, set up your project for success. Two, to maximize, again, those bricks and mortar. To minimize risks. All building projects have risks. If anybody's ever done a home improvement project, you want to spend this amount of money, but as soon as you get started, there's always things that we're trying, we run into, whether it's behind the walls or under the ground. We help manage those risks to minimize them for you. And ultimately, that means fewer change orders, fewer extra costs beyond what you originally set. And that's what we wanted. Our job is to create value in the way in which we work with your team all the way through the process. I like to put this diagram in because I've been working for Skillman 18 years and I have yet to find the client that had more money than needs or wants. If you know any of them, or if you're one of those, we're excited to be involved. But most likely, there's always more than they can afford or more that they want to spend. And so we spend most of our time in pre-construction helping you prioritize, helping you define what you want to do for your dollars. So these are public projects, so once the budget's set, that is the budget. There's no going back for more money. And so that's the essence of what we end up doing a lot in our pre-construction phases, and helping clients like yourself work through the dynamics of deciding what a project looks like. And there's always options. We put together this diagram when we first met with Mr. Collins and Mr. Harris, just to show we understand the challenges that you are looking at. The bottom line is that on this diagram here, you're going to set a budget, and that's going to be fixed. And you have a certain number of buildings that you would like to update. And we're going to be exploring options where you sprinkle a little bit of money all over on all those projects. We may look at options where you focus more money on a few projects, or option 3, maybe you focus a lot more money on 1 or 2 projects. And I could go on, but I hope you understand the point here is there's lots of ways in which to maximize your budget. These are decisions that you as the board will make, and our job is to give you good data to make that good, objective, factual information to help you make those decisions. And we're a partner. These costs are all driven. This is what we do. We have full-time estimators on board. But the whole idea in our piece is really to create value for you, get your greatest value. We're going to provide detailed estimating, but we're also going to help you look at long-term costs. So the last thing you want to do is invest in a mechanical system. It may be the cheapest mechanical system we can find, but if it is expensive to operate or it doesn't last very long, then that's not a good investment. So it's not just about first cost, it's also about what we call life cycle costing. Making sure that the design is constructible. You know, that's the benefit of having a builder on your team, is you have somebody at the table who's looking at it from the perspective of when is the best way to build that design that's being developed, rather than waiting until you have somebody on board. And then, of course, getting the most out of the bidding community, contractor participation. We like to say, we market your project to the building community. We have a pretty broad reach all over the state. We can get local contractors involved, regional contractors involved. Ultimately, more contractors means better participation, lower bids, more bricks and mortar. At a level of quality, we know these contractors, so we don't want just any contractor, but contractors that can do your project correctly. That's our job, to oversee that and make good recommendations so that you have good contractors on board your projects. We're also looking at things like site logistics, phasing, the schedule during that whole pre-construction. So you have a plan before you put as I say, the first shovel in the ground. Like I said, we have a whole team. We're very proud of our estimating department. Worked a lot with Gibraltar through many projects. All construction companies have estimators, as you can imagine, but our estimators are unique in the fact that they spend most of their time estimating projects, designs, solutions before the design's complete, right? So they have to anticipate the cost before the design's done, which is important for you because you want to make important decisions early so that you're not surprised on bid day. And so we have full in-house architectural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural sites. So we have all those services, and we work with Gibraltar. We're able to predict costs early in the process, which helps boards make good decisions early. As you can imagine, of course, we provide the whole, if you move ahead with the project, proceed into construction. We are a construction management company, so we replace that general contractor. We're overseeing the project, we're documenting, we're doing all the accounting. We'd love to come and make presentations to the school board on a monthly or quarterly basis on the progress of the project. Provide you photos, drone images, all those things that all that construction technology that we have at our fingertips, we can provide you good information, because these are normally big investments for tax dollars, and everybody wants to know where their money is being spent and if it's being spent wisely and well, so we want to be a resource to you. I would be remiss if I didn't have a touch base about, most likely you'll be working in existing buildings. Most likely, summers are now what, Mr. Collins, 7 weeks long, 6 weeks long? Most of the time, we're working in occupied buildings. Well, our people are our school experts, so we're gonna work with you to make sure things are safe, address noise, pedestrian, event parking, all the logistics that happen around when you're doing a project. We're the ones working with you and your staff to oversee that. Again, we're first and foremost hired by you. We're not the low bid contractor, so we work for you. We're gonna manage it to what's best for you during construction. That was my clicker though. And finally, I've jumped to the end, project closeout. But we were there and partner to make the project finish well, oversee and make sure that we take care of all warranty issues. So I jumped from the beginning to the end pretty fast there, but I wanted to give you a chance to ask any questions. I know you have a busy agenda, so thank you for the opportunity to present our information. Be happy to answer any questions if they come to mind.
Will you be coming to our work session on the 26th?
That is our intent.
If you're approved, right, sorry, jumping the gun here, but you would be a part of
Our intent was
future work
to
sessions.
get involved immediately because, first of all, there's no extra cost when you get us involved, but we see the benefit for us to get involved early, so we understand how a project, the genesis of a project, and then again, try to develop those cost options for you to evaluate.
I wanted to share too that, I went over to Shelbyville and visited Loper Elementary, where they're currently doing something that we may be doing, where they're updating some of their elementaries. And I was just so impressed with what they were doing. So, Victor, and I've talked with Matt, the superintendent, if we want to do a field trip and go over there and just look at what a before and after. So, let's take Fayette Central or Eastview, if we do a full refresh on what that would look like if we have, let's say, $5 million for each building to redo all the classrooms, to redo space. So they would open that up for us to go and see, just to see a before and after. It's pretty impressive to see.
It's a unique opportunity because each of those elementaries are being done in about 6 or 7 phases. So you walk down the hall and this wing is complete, this wing is under construction, and this wing is what it looked like, the last 5 years. So it's really kind of a unique opportunity to see the before and after, during, and after.
And I was there during the school day, and I was just impressed with how the disruption, you didn't even realize they were working at one end of the building. So it was pretty cool. So if you're interested, I'll put out an invite for that, and we could coordinate.
We'd love that.
That may be what we're doing here with, we're updating each of the elementaries. That may be a decision that's certainly on the table.
I'd be receptive to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be good, because I know we did visits before we did the field
Right.
house
Right.
hall, so that's
That
helpful
always is
to
helpful
us.
to us.
Yes, and having lived through a renovation at the middle school 20 years ago, what you just said you were going to do would have sounded really good back then, because we had sewer gas and lots of dust and lots of noise, so
It's what we do every day, ma'am.
it would be nice to see it done well.
The students oftentimes handle that better than the teaching staff,
Yes, that's true.
and I am a former teacher.
Any other questions for Victor?
Victor,
I
do you
guess-
have enough hard hats?
I do have enough hard hats to take everybody, and you may not
And do we
know
get to
open-toe
take them
shoes,
home?
but we'll make sure you have hard hats and color blades.
Yeah,
No, thank you. We appreciate that.
we'll be in touch on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm glad that Victor emphasized the pre-construction planning, because as you know, we have covered quite a bit of information since starting in June in our assessments of the building. And getting to that point of being able to put real dollars to some of these decisions, so to make sure that it's very informed, to know what we're talking about, rather than just talking about a classroom addition. We know exactly what that would cost and how it would look at each of the buildings. but I'm going to speak for a moment as a principal who went through a building project with Skillman, and I always appreciated that they were centered just around schools, so they do understand schools. And as a building principal, and you think of all the variables that you have during the day, and then you add the component of construction and the phases, they made every phase that much easier of just being informed in advance, so the staff was in advance, and if you have comfortable staff, they're comfortable for the kids, which are comfortable for the families, and you have a short-term inconvenience for a long-term gain. So I'm glad Victor had mentioned that. What you have in front of you, planning schedule, if you remember, I presented one last summer in June to propose what a 6-month study would look like of each of your facilities in Fayette, and then also we covered learning environments. We covered mechanical, electrical, plumbing at each of the facilities. We exhausted that planning schedule, so congratulations, we got through that. So I wanted to propose a new planning schedule that kind of takes us through the next few months and what would be next. If you can see, we started in June through November of just each board meeting and presenting all the information to you, and I appreciate your time that you committed to that. And then going into February, we were able to have a February 1st board work session to just take a deeper dive and have a Q&A on some of those assessments and what that means and some of the feasibility options to move forward. And then tonight obviously is the opportunity to kind of bring that final piece to the working team. When we say working team, you have bond counsel in place, you have a finance team in place, and then architect in place, and then this would be that final piece to make sure you have a complete team to help you get all the information that you need. And then moving to April 26th, this would be proposals. So we feel like we're at a place for another school board work session 2, and you can see the items that we would like to discuss. We're going to start putting some cost estimates to some of the items that we've brought forward in the assessments. And then moving into early May, and if you see in red, I have 2 different date options that would work with the Gibraltar team and also work with the Skillman team. That would provide a community input meeting where we would have the opportunity to go over all of those. We imagine it'll take quite a while, so maybe we'll do it in a summary format, but go over all the assessments of each of the buildings in a format to be able to do a question and answer for community input. So I have 2 dates there that would work in May. And as you go to the next line item, looking for a school board work session 3 would be an opportunity to debrief that community input session and be able to put some more cost estimates into the elementary schools at that time, because we know there's multiple options of ways to meet the needs from an educational standpoint, but also to a facility standpoint at the elementary. So I want to explore those and the cost estimates. And we're looking at those 2 options in May. And then moving to another school board work session 4 in June. And why I have that in red is, want to respect your time, because I know that you have committed, being on the school board, you're committing a lot of time anyways. To go through a facility assessment like this, we're adding extra time to what you're already doing. So we wanted to appreciate that. Going into June, we thought maybe having a deep dive in a board work session prior to that board meeting on June 13th so that you aren't coming back twice in June. So, and then I have to be determined a community input meeting number 2 as an opportunity to, as we kind of zero in on some of those options and start to get some estimates, and in the interest of transparency, be able to have a community input session as well at that time. And that would be towards summer.
Sounds good. And we get, I'm sure Cindy or Scott will organize us on these dates and get those to you.
Yep,
That's how
doesn't
it
need to
works.
be a decision tonight, just
Yeah.
wanted to know what works in our team, so we'll
Right.
find out what works with
Cindy
you.
will be reaching out to try to lock down those May dates. And then also all the presentations that Gibraltar has done for the district, they're on our home webpage. If anyone wants to access those. So that those are there live for anyone in the public to look at all the data that the board's been given.
Perfect.
Just all the information about our facilities, what the team has found that's both in good shape as well as things that aren't in good shape. And, again, just another shout out to our facilities, our maintenance, team because they have just done a fabulous job of even with some really aging systems in terms of HVAC and such, so.
You are correct.
Yeah.
I actually introduced Victor to Jimmy and Daryl, who are the people that have been making everything continue to work. I would advise the board, if you have someone approach you that would like to review some of the past presentations, but they also don't have about 12 hours to spare. What they can do is go to the matrix that we presented, I believe, at the November board meeting. And that was that summary matrix that showed from a learning environment standpoint where you could see at each school of some of those considerations. And then also from a mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and facility side too. So that would be like the Cliff Notes version of the study.
I appreciate that. That's a good idea.
Any questions for Gibraltar?
Thank you.
I thought we'd make Cindy's job much easier to have the same people that need to coordinate calendars in the same room at the same time.
Appreciate that. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you.
All right. Now I would like to seek a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and amended. Thank you, Jeremy. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next is public comments on, patron comments on agenda items. The patron comments we have do not refer to an agenda item, so they'll be saved for the end. We have 2 spots for patron comments, so that will come at the end of the meeting. Next, we move on to the consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes from the regular business meeting of 2/14/23, personnel report of retirements, resignations, leaves of absence, etc., approval of the February 2023 claims 64306 to 64539, and then donations. A donation of $2,500 from Fayette Community Foundation to CHS to be used to help purchase microphones, headsets, receivers, lock rack, lock drawer, and cables for the Wise Auditorium. A donation of $8,000 from Gene Haas Foundation grant to WCC Precision Machine Program to be used for tools and student scholarships. A donation of books valued at $2,000 from the Fayette County Public Library to CMS to provide books to all CMS students. We are always in such gratitude of all the donations. So seeing the consent agenda, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ann. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll go on to action items. Personnel reports, Mr. Harris.
I think this is by far the shortest personnel report I've ever had. I wish it was 0 because we kept everybody, but this may be a one shot. But I am recommending employment for classified staff, Robert Tops as custodian at the middle school, and Mackenzie Wilson as a kindergarten educational assistant at Eastview. That's it.
All right. Seeing that, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the personnel report. Thank you, Jeremy. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ryan. Do I hear any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, so now we have a whole, Mallory gets the stage for a little while. I'll just introduce each topic and we can go from there. Head Start orientation and training, Ms. Cameron.
Okay, it's an annual requirement to orient the board about Head Start yearly. Head Start is a federal program with the original purpose of the program being to prepare children living in poverty for school. The Fayette County School Corporation is the grantee for Head Start, for the Head Start program here in Fayette County. The Fayette County School Board is the governing board for the local program and has the responsibility for the following: ensuring compliance with federal laws and regulations, understanding the philosophy and the role of parents in the policy council, being fiscally and legally accountable for overseeing and administering the program, ensuring that internal controls are in place to safeguard federal funds, and reviewing and improving all major agency policies, including self-assessment, financial audits, and the Head Start grant process, and carrying out our grant provisions. The Head Start program is governed by the policies and procedures of the Fayette County School Corporation and the federal Head Start performance standards. The Head Start Policy Council must be consulted and approve planning procedures and general administration of the program. Locally, the Head Start program serves all of Fayette County with 7 Head Start classrooms at Fayette County School Corporation's Early Learning Center, Little Spartans Preschool. And then in partnership with CFSS, approximately 15 additional children with special needs are also served in our classrooms annually. So this concludes our Head Start training and orientation.
Thank you very much. I would like to now seek a motion to approve the Head Start orientation and training as presented.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll go on to the approval of the Head Start Community Assessment Report. Ms. Cameron.
Head Start must do an intensive community assessment every 5 years before the start of a new project period. And then in the 23-24 program year, it'll be the first year of the new project period. Updates will be made annually and changes will be made within the program to meet the needs of students and families in the community. In your board packet, you received a more intensive summary of the community assessment, and I'll just summarize a few of those items. Some community strengths that were found were numerous community agencies and churches that serve families, the school system's commitment to early childhood education, higher education opportunities, the Community Health Coalition, and community partnership, the community partnership with Gleaners. We also found that community weaknesses included high unemployment rate, high poverty rate, food insecurity, health issues including obesity, smoking, drug use and addiction, limited transportation, a high child abuse and neglect rate, and few affordable quality child care options. Are there any questions about the community assessment summary?
My only question would be, has it changed much from year to year?
When I went back and I was comparing to the 2018 grant, that was the first year of the last grant cycle, and it was very similar.
All right, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start Community Assessment Report.
Motion, Madam President.
Thank you,
I'll
Chris.
second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to the Head Start Self-Assessment Report.
Each year, Head Start must complete a self-assessment in order to provide continual improvements to the program. The Fayette County Head Start conducted their self-assessment in the months of January and February. The Head Start leadership team and self-assessment committee, composed of parents, community members, and staff, conducted self-assessment across all aspects of the program. Again, you have a more lengthy summary in your board packet. I'll just summarize some things that, a few things that we found. Some of the strengths included Fayette County School Corporation as the grantee, community partnerships, disabilities partnership, our facilities, highly qualified staff, fiscal management, monitoring procedures, transportation, and record keeping and reporting. Some areas of improvement that we found through our self-assessment include staff retention, attrition and cross-training job positions, increasing health and trauma-informed care for staff and families while reducing the stigma with mental health support, increasing communication between staff, disabilities advocacy, and exploring fiscal professional development opportunities. The targeted areas for improvement were then used to write our program action goals for the 23-24 program year, as well as the duration of the 5-year grant from 2023 to 2028, which I'll share the program goals after we approve the self-assessment.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start self-assessment.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we'll go on to the Head Start program
Okay.
goals.
The self-assessment process led to the creation of 5 new action goals for the duration of the 5-year grant cycle. And I'll just read all 5 of them. The program will continue to improve the ongoing planning process in order to provide quality services and meet the needs of families in our program and ensure children meet benchmarks identified for successful transition to kindergarten in all 5 domains, which include approaches to learning, social and emotional development, language and literacy, cognition, and perceptual, motor, and physical development. The second goal that came from our self-assessment, the program will provide information to families on the variety of services that the program offers to encourage caregivers to overcome life stressors, which will foster stability in the home that will in turn nurture mental health and wellness for the whole family. The third goal, the program will create longitudinal plans to address updates to facilities and policies and procedures in order to maintain quality standards to provide healthy and safe environments for children to develop school readiness skills. The fourth goal, the program will improve employee recruitment and retention, which will enhance the quality school readiness instruction by qualified staff by creating a climate where staff feels supported in and out of the classroom. And the fifth goal that came from our self-assessment process, the program will maintain compliance with the new Head Start program performance standards to enable children to be ready for kindergarten academically, emotionally, and medically. And these are the 5 program goals that came from our self-assessment process.
Okay, thank you. I would like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start program goals.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Mallory, on to the Head Start grant budget.
Okay, Head Start is applying for funds for the first year of the next 5-year project period. For the 23-24 program year, Head Start is applying for a total of $1,314,704 in federal funds, which includes $18,937 for training and technical assistance. We are required to provide $328,676 in matching non-federal share funds. This is our in-kind funds, which include community contributions, volunteers that show support for our program. We will serve children in a center-based setting using the double half-day program design in 3 classrooms and the full-day program design in 4 classrooms. We'll continue to partner with CF Special Services to provide programming for up to additional 15 special needs preschoolers in our classrooms. A complete breakdown of the budget was included in each of your packets this evening. Just a summary, approximately 89% of the total budget is allocated for salaries and fringes. The remaining 11% is allocated for transportation, training, supplies, and services. Are there any questions about the Head Start grant and budget?
I think it might be good for the public to know how unique, I guess, we are, because Head Start is housed in our buildings. And I don't know if you can speak to that, just how that benefits everybody all around, just to have Head Start actually in our school buildings as opposed to an outside agency.
Absolutely. We have highly qualified staff, which is something, all of our teachers are licensed educators, where in many other Head Start settings, that's not necessarily the requirement. So that speaks a lot just in itself.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start grant budget.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next up, the approval of the Head Start training and technical assistance grant.
Head Start is applying for $18,937 for training and technical assistance for the 23-24 program year. These funds are allocated for supplies and speakers for trainings for families and staff in the area of child health, safety and development, education, disabilities, family partnerships and parent engagement, transportation, program governance, human resources, recruitment, enrollment, attendance, management systems, and fiscal management. And there's a breakdown of the training and technical assistant grant in your packet as well.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start Training and Technical Assistance Grant.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mark. Do I hear a second? I don't know who said what. Jeremy? Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, on to the approval of the Head Start selection criteria and priority guidelines.
Okay, so students are enrolled based on the priority guidelines. The priority guidelines are also included in your board packet. When we look at our selection criteria, we first start with last year's children that were in our program. They must be income eligible with the highest priority points. And those students that are in kindergarten the following year are considered homeless or are in the foster care system get weighted points. So that kind of moves them up on the scale of getting into the program. We are selection criteria, income eligible 3 years old after August 1st, 2023 with highest priority points. Children with disabilities determined by CO Special Services who are at least 3 years old, and over income children with the highest priority points. So that's how we determine which students will go on our waiting list and in what order.
And what is your waiting list right now?
Right now we have about 15.
Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the selection criteria and priority guidelines for Head Start. Thank you, Chris. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate everything you
Thank
do.
you, Mallory.
All right, now we move on to the approval of the revised 2023-2024 school calendar.
Thank you. Want to share first my thanks for our calendar committee. It was made up of parents, Mr. Beard representing the board, and then administrators and teachers. And we have one item that we needed to adjust from the calendar you approved last spring. On the 2023-24 calendar, if you look at the last part on the bottom of that, the state changed how we use e-learning days and how those may be utilized. And so we are permitted 3 where they don't have to be synchronous, which is where kids have to log in and be live with the teachers for at least 50% of the school day. We don't have that capability in Fayette County for our kids to be able to do that across the county because we have so many areas lacking. So what I recommended to the committee was that we change that language to reflect that after our first build-in day, which is February 19th, that the next 3 days could be traditional e-learning days, and any days missed after that would be added to the end of the school year. So that's the only change, and I'm submitting that to your consideration for reapproving. And then these will be posted on the webpage tomorrow if they are approved. So that's the only change on that. I'm asking for your consideration.
Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the revised 2023-24 school calendar.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ryan. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ann. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then approval of the 24-25 school calendar, Mr. Collins.
It's hard to look at those dates to think, wow,
I
we're in
know.
2025 here in another year. But this calendar is falling into the more traditional what we've had. Every so many years we hit that period where things just don't fall perfectly around the holidays with start times, end times. So this is probably one of our best calendars in that regard. Some highlights of that is our teachers would return on August 5th, which is Monday, right after the fair week, and then they would work the first 2 days of that week, and then students return August 7th. October, we have the built-in end of first quarter professional development day and parent conference day on October 16th. And then as we set into place several years ago, our fall break would be the last full week of October, which is 21st to the 25th. We maintain the 3-day Thanksgiving holiday, which the committee was pretty unanimous on that recommendation. And then when you look ahead to December, we have 2 full weeks that entail 3 weekends, which we haven't had for the last couple of years. So the last student day would be December 20th, a Friday, and then students and staff return January 6th. We also have the 20th of January as Martin Luther King Day, no students, and we'll do what we've been doing for several years. We're recommending that be a teacher professional day. Then if you notice, we have no built-in snow makeup days. And that was the consensus of the committee. We'll roll the dice, see what happens, and then we have the first 3 missed days will be traditional e-learning days. And any days after that would be added on to the end of the school year. March would have our spring break, which is the last full week, March 24th through the 28th. And then in April, on the 18th, we have Good Friday holiday, so no school for students or staff. And then our last student day would wrap up on May 23rd, which is the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. The last student day would be the 22nd, and then the teachers would finish the 23rd. So if we don't have more than 3 missed days, everything's wrapped up before Memorial Day. And then graduation for CHS would be Sunday, June 1st. So if you notice the language at the bottom of that calendar, it's identical to the one you just approved, except the first 3 days would be traditional e-learning days. So any discussion or questions on that, comments? Or Mark, did you have any thoughts from you?
Just the idea that we're always trying to balance our semesters. We want the public to know consistently when spring and fall break are going to be. So we've tried to keep that consistent every year. But other than that, it's Fair Week usually, and we don't have to deal with that this year because the calendar's about every 5th year when we have to start looking at where we start school. So we didn't have to worry about that this year.
And I'm glad you brought that up. One other part, we have 5 other school districts that send their students to the Whitewater Career Center. So we try to work with those districts as well to keep our fall and spring breaks and our start times as consistent as possible. So that's more for the public, but that's always a factor when we have 5 other school districts being served here at the Career Center.
Okay, thank you for that. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the 24-25 school calendar. Thank you, Jeremy. A second? Thank you, Ryan. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go on to public comments. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, and/or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be disclosed in private. And I should have said this at the beginning of the meeting because somebody, I had a patron ask me about patron comments and asked why we don't answer them. And I think it's a hard concept, but this is our business meeting that's simply held in public. It's by state statute. We have to hold our meetings in public, but it isn't what is called a public meeting, which I think if you saw in Gibraltar's presentation that they're going to have, they're penciling in a community, I forget how we worded that, community involvement, but whatever, with Q&A, yeah. That's a public meeting where we invite the public to ask questions so we can kind of answer those and work through those. But at our meetings, this is just our business meeting and it is held in public. We welcome your questions and comments, which of course I've got 2 people that are signed up. And typically we just listen and take those under advisement so that we can hear what you have to say. So I think the first one was Jaden Collins.
No big speech. This won't take more than a minute or 2 there, my name is Jamin Collins. I come on 2 reasons. One is I represent the 5th District of Connersville on City Council, but I also come to you, and more importantly, as a parent. And regardless of what's on the agenda, I respectfully ask you to consider not closing Everton and Fayette Central Schools. As a parent, my kid goes to Fayette Central, and to move him would be detrimental to what we've been working towards. Fayette Central has a very good system in place. They've got an amazing principal. His teacher is also fantastic. And for you to move that and jumble that up, I guarantee would have a negative effect on him. The other aspect of it is closing schools is going to have a very negative impact on the community. Between housing markets, that kind of thing, values, it's all going to have a negative impact in that way. People have spent years and decades building homes, moving to certain areas, buying certain homes for a certain reason, and part of that is the schools that are in that area. So I respectfully ask that you consider not closing those schools. Thank you. Am I good here?
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Gary Ruff.
First of all, I want to say I was born here in Fayette County, raised here, went to school here. My 3 kids went to school here in Fayette County. I've been through and seen a lot of different school boards go through and superintendents go through. I've worked and drove school bus for about 25 years, I think, mostly at Everton. I think Everton's got a great school. You just spend a bunch of money on Everton School putting a library in. And if you would close that, it's just like telling the public, here's a match, we burnt your money. That's the way I feel about it. I don't think, and Everton's had a great, outstanding rate on their students out there. And what he says, Fayette Central's been good. I try to watch them in the paper when they list all the elementary schools. So I'm agreeing with him. I think it's wrong to close these schools. Transportation made a remark about hauling kids to Everton. Well, if you're not going to haul them to Everton, you're going to haul them to Cartersville. What's the difference in the mileage? I mean, it's probably more mileage to come to Cartersville than to haul to Everton. And Everton's one of the newest school buildings. We've had great staff at Everton. They get good community support out at Everton. So that's what I've got to say. And I just want to say one other thing on election stuff. I've seen it. It goes all the way up to the top ranks. But your board members are elected to represent the district people, not to represent yourself. And I wish you'd listen to the people in your district. And the board is the main one here. The superintendent, no digs at you, but he works for the school board, not the school board works for the superintendent. I've seen that in past administrations, and I've heard it from other school board members that has moved on, that they work for the superintendent instead of the other way around. So I just want to make that point. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Gary drove all my kids to school every day. Turn that light on the porch if they weren't riding. He knew it. All right. We really appreciate the patron comments, and we really appreciate you coming to the meeting. We will have a special work session April 26th at 6 p.m. That's a meeting held in public. That's when Gibraltar will be back, and they'll be presenting more information. If you have the time, inclination, and you want to get on the Fayette County Schools website and view the documents, I think Mr. Kingery did mention there's, I forget which one it is. That's the November meeting has a matrix that kind of condenses it. So make yourself aware if you wish, and please come to that meeting. We always enjoy having people at our meetings. So, okay. Now I got to find back where I am. We are now at Superintendent Discussion Group Reports. Principal Director reports. Any principals say something?
I have a couple of things to
Sure.
celebrate. Sorry.
Come on, yeah, now you can sit.
Mrs. Boyd's class did an economic unit and raised almost $400 to go right back to the animal shelter. And so we are presenting them with a check. They're a little busy right now, but as soon as they get a chance, they're going to come out to Fayette Central and receive that. And then currently we have penny wars going on with Kiwanis Kids Club. Mrs. Hacker and Mrs. Long stayed after school, and we're almost at $450 in 2 days. So that will go back to a community, a nonprofit within our community as well. So great things happening.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, please.
So I don't know how many of you know this, but this week is Spartan Week. It is in appreciation of the 1972 State Basketball Championships. The mayor, William F. Collins, in 1972, basically established this week to celebrate the Spartans. And so we're trying this year, we found a plaque in an old closet and we hung it up, and so we're trying really hard to have Spirit Days. Elementary schools are participating. So I think that's really kind of neat. Hopefully we have a scavenger hunt for our high school kids going on, and they're looking for shamrocks and bringing it to get prizes. So we're hoping to do more fun things at the high school. And then secondly, next Monday at 7 o'clock in the Robert E. Weiss Center is the winter sports program. So all the community, school board members, people are welcome to come in and celebrate our winter sports successes. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Any other principal director reports? Okay, seeing none. Director of Operations, Mr. Harris.
You have your monthly fund report in front of you. We continue to go along. One comment I would make, I know, Leslie, you've had some questions. I think there have been some other things on the finances. This is very much a big picture overview of the entire budget. Altogether, we have about a $35 million budget, so it's difficult to go into that, but if anybody ever wants more details or has more in-depth questions, I would be more than happy. Call the office and set up a meeting and meet with anyone, go through that.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Corsaro.
I do not have anything this evening, thank you.
Okay, Superintendent's report, Mr. Collins.
I just wanted to reiterate the information that's on our webpage. And then for the folks here, if you would entertain me a second. The reason we're doing this facility study is there had not been one completed. And with the age of our buildings and some of the, if you own a home that's more than 30 years old, you have issues. Well, most of our buildings are 50 plus years old. Everton's our newest, and it was built in 1982? 1979. 79, okay, I'm off. 79, so do the math there. I remember as a kid watching that being built. So, I know there's a lot of information out on Facebook, and I'm going to just say to the public, don't believe everything you read on Facebook because a lot of it's not true. And then it causes people to get upset, but no decision is being made, and I would encourage you, we'll advertise when we have this community input meeting. And no one here knows what we're going to do, and the reality of it is, as superintendent, I do work for this board, and I appreciate you mentioning that. They evaluate me, and they can hire or can fire, and that's their one of their most important roles, that and policy. But I don't envy this board. I grew up here. This is my home, and every one of these individuals is invested in this community, and I don't know what the decision will be. That will be theirs, but it's my job to make sure that we stay fiscally solvent as a school district. And, we are losing 50 to 100 kids per year in the county. The jobs aren't here. You all, those of you who've lived here, you know the issues. I know that we have to plan ahead looking down the road. At some point, we won't be able to sustain 5 elementaries. If we continue to decline, we won't have money in the bank. And that's the reality of it. We can make it a few more years. But we also have to continue increasing our wages and benefits for our staff. If we don't, we're not going to keep them, and we're not going to keep pace with inflation. And just in the last 2 years, we've committed $2 million new dollars to staff pay and benefits. And that's $2 million every year forever that we've committed on top of what we were already paying. So it's not sustainable if we don't continue to find ways to make cuts. And we've cut $500,000 just out of administrative cuts in the last 5 years. That's significant. So I feel like our team has done a really good job working with the board on cutting out areas that we can do without. And we're pretty lean in our buildings, and we're lean in our transportation department. So our dilemma is, how do we continue to serve our kids in the best way possible and still be financially solvent? And that's the challenge, because the state's not giving us as much money as they advertise. That's not the reality. So I just wanted to show that I appreciate you all coming. I love our schools, and we have great people in each one of those. And so I want to say for you, when you want to come and speak, ask questions, we will advertise it, but it will be in May. Looks like May 2nd or 3rd. So we will be sure to advertise that, and we will probably hold it in a larger venue, such as the high school auditorium. Mr. Liggett, we may need to book that. So we want to be sure to give the public plenty of time to hear everything too. And in that, we also want Gibraltar, the gentleman who spoke, to be able to share highlights of what's been shared again, just so everyone can hear it. So I just wanted to put that out there, and thank you for being here and being interested in our schools. I think they're the biggest part of our community and the backbone of our community. So I just want to say thanks.
Thank you, Scott. For the good of the cause, I'd like to start and recognize my good friend, Brad Wilson, who passed away. And Brad served on this board. I actually got to know Brad better through his board service. He served on the board for 8 years. He was president. He was a great board member, and I'm sure lots of people in this room know Brad. Couldn't find a guy more interested in this community and what was important to this community. So in this room he sat, doing what we all do, and I just want to remember him tonight. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Okay, that being said, looks like we're...
Madam President, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Chris. That's my second tonight.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. Board members, we do have an executive session after we sign up paperwork. So.